Hey Fiberistas, it's Stacy Budge Camison with UrbanGypZ, and today I'm going to show you how to make this yarn. Now I have a new Facebook group, and it's called the UrbanGypZ's Fiber Art Collective, and weekly I put an offer out for the participants to ask me anything. And Cheryl last week asked me how to spin this yarn. So today I'm going to demonstrate just that. It's going to be a two-part video because there's a lot involved. There's some information involved in carding the batt as well as spinning the yarn. So today we're just going to focus on carding the batt. There's 1,000,001 YouTube videos on how to card art batts, and it's pretty much the same type of thing. So today I'm going to mostly focus on how I pick the colors to get this effect for this yarn. I'm opting to use my Strotch drum carder. I think this is a really good basic a reasonably priced drum carder, and I think that a lot of people have this drum carder. I love my Louette, I love my Pat Green triple card, but to be honest with you, this one does a great job, and I think it's very possible to get art batts off of just really basic carders. So anyway, just a little about my fiber stash. Whenever I dye stuff up or come across little bits of fiber, I just throw it in here. So if you buy a spinning grab bag from me, I'm pulling straight from this fiber, and maybe a little bit from this stash as well. This is where I keep things like my Angelina and my sari silk, and little bits of fiber that I don't want to get all messed up in the fray of this. But I love diving into this. This is my treasure chest. So anyway, I'm gonna move the camera angle so you guys can see a little better, and we'll get started. Alright, Fiberistas, so the first thing I like to do is I like to pick just a general accent yarn that I wanted to work with. And so I'm going to look through, and I really feel pretty strongly about, this fiber. I know that's not very much of it, but I think when it comes to this type of fiber, I'm feeling that I'm not going to need a ton. So I'm going to add a little bit of accent. I have this Angora that I dyed recently that I also love. I'm going to add a little bit more of that. I'm also going to throw in, I have some of these locks that kind of fall into that exact same color. So I'm going to pull those as well. Oh, here's a little bit of sari silk that's kind of falling into that color scheme. I'm going to also throw in a little bit of this. That's a little Angora as well. And a little of that. Now generally I think of brown as a neutral, but here I feel like it's got a little bit of that kind of reddish color, and so it's kind of picking up some of that craziness there. Let's see if there's any other colors that I want to pop in there, or maybe any other textures. I'm going to keep it relatively simple. I might throw in, no, I think it's going to get too busy. Alright. Oh, here's a little bit more of this stuff. I don't think I'm going to need a whole lot. Ooh, let's throw in some sparkle. Sparklies. Throw in a little bit of this. No, that's too purpley. I'm not going to throw that. Keep it neutral. I'm going to throw in some of this holographic Angelina. It's a little bit of gray, but it's going to pick up some of those colors in the flash a little bit. Okay, so you see now I've got a general color palette. That's not going to be enough for a yarn. So what I like to do, I like to be able to see a little more separation between the colors. So what I like to do is to throw in a neutral. So I've got this beautiful farm wool that I've got locally. I believe that is his thin sheet. So I'm going to throw in, it's kind of a, it's an off-white, but it has just a touch of gray in it, which I think is going to do well with this. So, and you can see I've got quite a bit of that neutral in. I'm just using a little bit of that color. Alright, because I really feel like a neutral would really pop those colors out. Now, it doesn't always have to be white. I mean, look, when I use, if I were to use like a black, you see how the colors will pop against that, and that way it gives your eye a rest between those colors. I also like to use brown as a neutral, and you can see I have this brown, but you see how it pops almost reddish orange when I put that brown together. But today I'm going to focus on the white, especially since when it comes down to spinning that yarn, you're going to be able to see the detail of the spinning a little better against the white. This is a little matted. It was a coated sheep, and then when I washed it, it just kind of matted a little further. So I'm going to run this stuff through first, just to open it up. All right, if you have a picker, that's also another great way to break up those locks. And all I'm doing here is just kind of teasing that in there to, well, that I might keep, and then keep some of that texture in there. You see how it's got that great crimp? I might see if I can card that and keep that texture. But this piece, that piece not, that's a little, and get some of that vegetable matter out. That's another great thing about carding is when you're working with farm wools, drum carding can help brush some of the vegetable matter that just gets caught up in that fiber a little. I'm going to leave some of that undone. I'm not going to worry too much about fiber that's going to be left on that drum because it's all the same color. So this is just a hand card. You can also use like a dog brush, or I've seen even people use regular hair brushes to brush that down. You see, I've got this kind of coarsely put together batt. I do what I call like a sandwichy kind of method. So I'm going to break this apart. I'm going to do it maybe into fourths because it's a little wide, and I'm going to spread that out kind of thin. All right. And then I'm going to add my fun stuff. I'm going to add some of this, and I'm just making a sandwich with that other fiber. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to trick my drum carder into just carding up the regular fibers, and then that way I'm going to get less of the Angelina, the expensive short fibers in the mix. Alright, so I'm going to put a little bit of this brown. And some of this blue. Throw that down. Alright, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this other little layer here. I'm going to pop it right on top. Alright, so then I'm going to feed that through. Great. See, I can just lightly brush that down, and that pushes those fibers down into there a little more. Alright, so next I'm going to try this again with that second batch. Alright, I'm going to throw this down, some of this, that. Alright, top it with this last little bit of this. Alright, and I'm just kind of taking it a little slow so I don't rip that thing off of the table. There's that little lump right here. I'm going to pick that off. Now here's another trick I like to do. Let me smooth that down a little more. I also like to throw some fibers across the top. You can drag them across the top. And that's what I like to do with the locks, because that kind of helps keep those locks in place. So I can So same thing with this. I'm going to drag these across because I like that crimp, and see if I can maintain just a little bit of that crimp. Alright. So then I just pull this off by just dividing into the small sections to pull that off, especially in that middle, because that middle is so thick. Alright, so once I get that started, then I can take my hand card and go through and pull that batt right off. Okay, there you have it. So here it is. Here's my art batt. You can see there's a lot of neutral in there, and all the good stuff, all the texture and all the color is pretty much on the inside. I like to keep a lot of neutrals in with the art batts. If you look at most of my yarns, you can see that there's either going to be a gray, a white, or a chocolate brown neutral with my colors, because I feel like it gives you a little bit of breathing room between the textures and the colors, and especially if I'm going to do some kind of wrap, like an auto wrap or some kind of ply. I feel like keeping the neutrals, putting a lot of neutrals in there will show off a lot more of that texture. So anyway, that's my philosophy. So next week we're going to spin this batt up and I'll show you how to do that yarn. Anyway, I'm Stacy Budge Camison and I'll talk to you later. Bye.